I'll do better next time, you know.
I love that.
Doesn't it seem like everybody and the mother has a podcast? Oh, oh, so I started a podcast with my mom. We wanted a theme song so you could sing along. The show, it starts now.
I love that the instrument has a mouthpiece.
Yeah, this is my melodica.
It makes it very. It makes me think of a kazoo. I know it has nothing to do with that,
It's not dissimilar.
but it's kind of like it's something that a kid would pick up and just play.
Yeah, well, it's a kid's instrument, and it's like a kazoo meets an accordion, sort of. Instead of using a bellow, you're using your breath, but it's the same concept, and it's just like a harmonica. Anyway,
It looks kind of easy peasy, and it looks like fun.
it's awesome.
I don't need to have anything to do with it, but I really like listening to you play it. Oh.
Welcome.
Welcome. I need to make a slight adjustment.
Okay.
Pineapple Pee-wee, he's not in full view. Could we move him over to you a little bit? Oh, look, in his ties, little refrigerate.
Tell us about Pee Wee here.
Do you want to hear the Pee-wee story?
Yes.
Okay.
Pineapple Pee Wee.
This Pee-wee no longer has voice because, you kids, I'm not saying one or the other or both, but you play with him, and who knows what happened.
I know you are, but what am I?
And I always like Pee-wee, and in our house in California, I keep him on the table, and somebody came in one day and said, Paul Rubens lives down the street.
That's so cool.
And I said, no, do you think he'd come over and, I don't know, autograph Pee-wee?
But this was David's, I think, many years ago, right?
Well, it was
Like
it
30
was
something.
David's, and I don't think I've told the gang the story about when David moved out of the house and into a community living arrangement. Actually, for another day, I'll make a note. That's a good story for people who have perhaps children or siblings who have a lot of special needs and are getting older, and longer conversation. Anyway, he was packing up he was 19 and he was leaving home. You had gone away to college at 18 and he was moving into a house with some
No.
other guys. And
I'm 2 years younger. I was 17 when he moved.
no, I'm saying you were 18 when you left for college.
Oh, right, yes.
You left. You were
I
done
knew-
with us. We were done with you. We told you everything we could. You had all our bad habits and whatever else. Anyway.
I didn't know I had a Philadelphia accent until I got to college. They were like, "Oh, you're from Philadelphia," and I was mortified. I was like, "What do you guys mean? You want some water?" And I was like, "Oh my god, this
Water?
is terrible."
So anyway, I was packing up his stuff to go, and I said, I had his dolls and things lined up. He said, "I can't take that stuff with me. They'll laugh at me." I said, "What do you want me to do with it?" He said, "I don't know. Get rid of it. Give it to some kid." Of course, I packed it up in a box and saved it all. So fast forward many years later, we moved to California, and I brought my stuff with me, and I have this box of Pee-wees in it, and the Philly Fanatic doll that David was given at his bar mitzvah party. Good stories.
By the Philly
All
Fanatic.
right, we'll I guess we'll tell these stories next episode,
You're telling them right now. What do you mean?
because the whole story needs to be told. But I want to get to the point with the Pee-wee doll.
true.
So about 2 years ago, I was FaceTiming with David, and he said, "What? Oh, that's my Pee-wee doll. What is it doing there?" I said, "You told me to give your dolls away, and I kept them." He said, "But I want it. I want my Pee-wee doll."
Like 20 years later. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 years later, sure. He said, "I want my Pee-wee doll." I said, so it's not going to say no to you, but can I suggest something? And if you don't want to do it, I'll do whatever you want. He said, "All right, Mom, what?" I said, you know the Philly Fanatic doll? The one that the Philly Fanatic gave you at your bar mitzvah party? He said, yeah. I said, if I bring that to you the next time I come to Philadelphia and give that to you, can I keep Pee-wee? And he thought about it and he said, you like Pee-wee that much?
Aw.
I said, it's your doll. You're entitled to it. But, I mean, yeah, I really like it. He said, all right. And then when I had told you that story a few years ago, you said, and what happened to the Philly Fanatic doll? I said, I took it the next time we went to Philadelphia and gave it to him.
Yeah, you did. It's great. I we have pictures of David's bar mitzvah from the Philly Fanatic. That's like,
Oh, we're going to do that.
yeah.
Okay. Well, are we ready for a bar mitzvah story?
If you want to tell a bar mitzvah story, sure.
Maybe we should bring David in and ask him how much he remembers. Anyway.
Oh, I think I know which bar mitzvah story you're going to tell.
Oh, okay. I'll tell that one too. I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome.
You mean what the rabbi said?
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't discussed this in years. Just knew what he meant. Okay. So, usually when a Jewish boy is bar mitzvah, becomes bar mitzvah, it's done about the time that he's 13. So when David was about 12 and a half, we went to the synagogue and said, or 12, whatever, and said, so David's bar mitzvah's coming up. And he had been in Sunday school since he was a little kid. My goal was that my kids would be comfortable in a synagogue. If you were traveling anywhere in the world, you would be comfortable. Not necessarily that we were in the synagogue all the time, but I like it. I like the feeling, and I like the I enjoyed the connection. And it was just that you would both feel comfortable, and then you'd make your own choices about whatever you wanted to do, religiosity-wise. So it was time to prepare for David's bar mitzvah, and the cantor works with the boy, or bat mitzvah with the girl, to prepare for the bar mitzvah. And the cantor Samuels, we're in Philadelphia, Cantor Samuels worked with David and gave me the Aliyah, which is a three-part, probably 6 sentences in Hebrew that is said at the Torah. And the bar mitzvah boy says it, and his father says it, and if there's a grandfather, the grandfather, and then siblings or whoever else. So it's very sweet. It's very special. It's a very usual prayer.
But it's also a great
It's a
honor
blessing.
because it's during a typical weekly service, but it's the focus of that portion of the prayer is for the bar mitzvah and his family to usher him into manhood, adulthood. So it's like normal, but it's also very special.
Yes, and the bar mitzvah boy, if he's capable of rising to the occasion, is given a Torah portion. So when the Torah is opened the same week every year, we read the same story, and it's a way of celebrating it. So they gave me the Aliyah, and I enlarged it because David's vision was limited, and I enlarged it so it was actually, I think maybe the cantor enlarged it on the printer
His
in
vision
the
was
synagogue.
at that time, 2020, I came to learn, means if something is 20 feet away, it looks 20 feet away, and I believe David's vision was 2,200.
It was at some point it spontaneously improved, and I don't remember when that happened. So there is some limitation, but he's highly functionable visually. And I think it took 9 every day when he got home from school. I spent 10 minutes, and I did something called, teachers will be familiar with backward chaining, but I didn't know about it. I just thought,
Before you jump into
we'll
that, it's
start
like
at the
4 pages, because it's large type, but it's like 4 pages of Hebrew.
Well, actually,
Transliterated.
the Aliyah I'm thinking 3 lines,
Okay,
3 sentences, probably 6 lines.
got it.
So it fit on a page. It
Okay.
was not overwhelming. I don't read Hebrew,
But it was, what, 100 words, let's say?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't read Hebrew, and David has some visual impairment, and he can read English. He can read English, and he would read something slowly. And I started with the last syllable of the last word and had him repeat it. And Monday through Friday, every day for 15, maybe 10 minutes, we practice it. 9 months later, we went in for his lessons, and he was having lessons with the cantor every week. We went in, and I said, David can recite the Aliyah by himself. He said, that's great. Let's hear it. And he did it, and it was great. And he, gave us kudos all around. And then he said, and here's his Torah portion.
Like a week. How long before the bar mitzvah? Weeks.
6
right?
weeks.
Yeah.
He said, it's good that it's not a real long one. And I transliterated it, which means he used English words,
Phonetically spelled.
English letters, so that if you just read it, even though you don't know what it's saying, it sounds close to the Hebrew. I said it took me 9 months to teach him the Aliyah. How am I going to teach him a Torah portion in 6 weeks? He said, I don't know, but I know you and you'll do it. I gave it to your father, and he taught him the Torah portion.
Wow.
And it was great. And he did the Aliyah. He did the Torah portion, and is Todah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was finished, when he was finished, everybody was crying. Everybody,
Yeah.
all the family, everybody
entire
was
room
crying.
Of like 100 people.
And when he was finished, the rabbi said, David, that was great. And he turned to the rabbi and he said, Todah, which is thank you in Hebrew. And the rabbi went, he just said Todah. I mean, he really did great, and it was wonderful.
Amazing.
On my leading up to the Philly Fanatic, we hired the Philly Fanatic to be entertainment at the party at the synagogue that night, which was, by the way, a black tie sit-down dinner because, David was the bar mitzvah. And there was one Philly Fanatic. They know that that's the Phillies mascot.
I think so.
It's pretty well known now, right?
He's the best They're the best mascot that's ever been in any sports team ever. So I think people know about it.
Okay. So David, I know his last name. I think I know his last name, but I won't say it. Who was the original Philly Fanatic, and
his name is also David.
Yes,
right,
and David, if you see this, which would be delightful, I have not asked your permission, and I know Philly Fanatic was. It's a nice story, and I'm going to tell it.
I think you should.
You know where to find me if you need to.
Sort of.
So and the Philly Fanatic, of course, as a mascot, never talks or makes a sound. So he came in and he danced, and all the kids walking in wheelchairs
people
went around the room, and it was a great celebration.
The Philly Fanatic did not make personal appearances. One could not hire the Philly Fanatic to appear somewhere.
But I did.
There were like Philadelphia Phillies baseball related events where you could go and like see the Philly Fanatic, but it wasn't the kind of thing that could be hired privately, but you pulled it off.
Well, I just called and explained the situation, and
That's it.
Yes, nicely.
She just called and
I
explained
didn't know
the
they
situation,
weren't
and
doing
the
that.
Major League Baseball Association just figured out how to accommodate. Just explain the situation, please. Continue.
Okay. So we're at this party, and everyone's having a great time. And afterward, David and I were out in the hallway for, I don't know, a breath of fresh air. And
David Sorkin?
Yes, my son, David Sorkin, bar mitzvah guy. We were in the hallway, and I saw the Philly Fanatic. He was not in his costume, and he was carrying a small box. And he came over, and he said, I'm interrupting. Wait, I have to interrupt. At one point, your brother David and I went out into the hallway. It was probably for pictures. And the Philly Fanatic was there in his costume. And he went over and he butted heads with David, and he played with him privately. No one was there but us. And David said something, and the Philly Fanatic answered him. He said, "You talked. I heard you. I heard you speak. You spoke." And then I do remember it was later because he had taken his costume off, and he was holding a box under his arm. I could still picture he had on a T-shirt and a cap and what he looked like. And he was He did an amazing job. And he said, I'd like to share something with you. And I feel funny, it's very personal. He said, I want to share something with you. And I said, of course. And he said, it's been a tough week. Some stuff is going on. And I was kind of feeling sorry for myself. And here I am on a Saturday night, and I'm making like a personal appearance, and I'm glad to do it. But my mood was not at the right level. He said, and before I came out as a Philly fanatic, he said, I opened the door and peeked in to get the temperature of the room and what the people were doing and see how I should accommodate. He said, and I looked in, and it looked like a terrific party. You know, you could see the motion, and people were talking and laughing. And he said, and then I saw the bar mitzvah boy in a wheelchair. And then I saw a little girl in a wheelchair. And then I saw a guy with
Braces.
braces and crutches. He said, and I looked around, and I thought, they're all having such fun. He said, and then I thought about how I had been feeling all day. And I want to tell you, your family has changed my life. Thank you. And then he said, this is a Philly fanatic stuffed doll.
Oh.
We don't sell them. They're not available. Oh. And I brought this for your son.
And that's
that's the doll that David wanted and now has.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, when we FaceTime with David, which I think we should have David on the next show. We can't promise it'll be a successful interaction for the audience.
We can't promise anything
promise
except
anything.
You'll meet David.
Well, no, not even. We'll dial the FaceTime or the Zoom at that time, and we'll just, hope for the best. We should try to have
the Philly fanatic make an appearance.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you for sharing that.
I didn't tell the story what the rabbi said that you asked me to tell.
Oh, right.
When we sat in the rabbi's
This story has
office,
everything.
and he cleaned it up for the audience. When we sat in his office, I'll tell the story the rabbi told. Don't worry, it's in English. And he addressed the group. And, we're sitting in the synagogue in pews, benches. And he said, so David's mother and father came to us, meaning him and the cantor in the synagogue, about 1.5 years ago. And he said, we know David well, we know the family well. And if they had come in and said, Rabbi, David's going to be 13, it's time for a bar mitzvah, what should we do? I would have said, bring him in, invite everybody, make the party, but bring him in, let me know, we'll pick a date, and we'll say a prayer over him, and hug him and congratulate him, and maybe he'll say something, maybe he'll learn a few Hebrew words, or he'll say something in English, and he'll be bar mitzvah. He said, no, they didn't want that. They wanted a full bar mitzvah. They wanted David to do a part in Hebrew. And he said, his parents said to me, Rabbi, this is important to us, and we really think it comes down to commitment. And there are days when we feel like we should be committed. That was what I had told him, and that's what he cleaned up a little bit, and he told, which I thought was delightful and well aimed.
And it was a very special day. I was 11. And it was like...
He was 14.
So I was 12.
Yeah.
It was a big party. Maybe the first time I wore a tux. And,
I think so.
And it's not recorded because he couldn't record video in the synagogue itself.
Because it was
Shabbat. And somewhere between his eloquent Aliyah and the Torah portion and this story... during the rabbi's
I
sermon,
forgot about this.
I think it was during the sermon, David, I think, was riding high on having delivered his last two pieces so successfully and could feel the energy of success, and just started talking about the episode of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that he had seen that morning.
Getting
and the
dressed. Rabbi said,
what?
Well, we don't usually watch TV on Shabbat, so
And-
let's move on.
and to David's credit, I think
wouldn't
he
stop.
like reenacted like the entire either one act or the whole show. And you could see, and it was this mixture of people like, "Oh no, get back to the," and also like
They were laughing.
they were laughing, and it was like it reminded me of when C-3PO was telling the Ewoks the story of how the Death Star was destroyed. It was very like evocative, and everyone, regardless of being like right there with him, was sort of. It was a very special moment. And then we had this great party, and not to change the focus from David, but I did perform a not lip sync, an actual version of Ice Ice Baby. I like like had it in my mind that like there would be this big moment where after David, as star of the show, was ready to eat or something, I would like take the stage and just like, all right, stop. And I learned the whole song, collaborate and listen.
Bobby Morgenstern was entertainment, and there's a still picture. We have a picture of him handing you the microphone and just beaming from ear to ear while you did this.
There's not video of it. Yes, there is, but you won't be seeing it. And so that was also a big recollection of that bar mitzvah. Ice is back with a brand new edition.
It was delightful.
Oh man.
Oh, and then when it was time to go home and we were putting some things in the trunk, David said, "You told me it was going to run really late. Why are you making me leave now?"
It's like 11:30.
And we said, "It's 12:15 at night." And he said, are you sure?
Good party.
It was really great.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. I think I left something out, so maybe next week I'll throw something else in. Who knows what? It was delightful. Hell, no. You have to cut back into something.
What?
25 years later, for his birthday, you had the cast of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles record a video for David, and you sent it to him.
For his 40th, it was a super cut of some Power Rangers and some Ninja Turtles.
And they were saying, "Hi, David." No, you actually knew the Ninja Turtles, not the Ninja Turtles. You interviewed. Oh, it wasn't Ninja Turtles.
No, it was a man who
Power Rangers.
It was a mixture of Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles.
Can you show that? Do you have it ready?
I
Readily
can
available?
try to find it, but the gentleman who was a turtle I can see if I can find it. The man who was also enough to give David a shout out is no longer with us.
But we could say something in memory of him.
Yeah,
also.
he was.
It's up to you.
I didn't know him well, but I knew him through a friend.
You knew him well enough. He did this.
Well,
for
he
you,
was
for
doing a
your
favor
brother.
for our mutual friend, who's a wonderful human, and he heard same thing as the Philly Fanatic. Oh, we just explained it to him. We just had to explain the situation, and it was he did it in the voice of one of the turtles, and it was, "Hey, David," and I cut it into like different Power
I'm rubbing
Rangers.
my nose. Is this going to show on the show, or are you going to cut this out? Or
Well, I'm talking and it's a video, so
I
yeah,
should not
sure.
have done that. Okay, hi.
Yeah, geez, this story does have everything. Turtles. Oh my God, turtles.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I have a title. I have a title for the show.
What is it?
It's called "The Desert is an Enchantress."
Oh.
And when I opened the door this morning, and I looked out the door, I saw a lizard, not a giant lizard, a lizard about this big, run across
Nice.
from one side of the garden in the house to the other. And then I went outside and I looked, and there's a turtle that has, at least for now, adopted us.
Yeah.
And I don't know, how big is it? It's about that. Thank you. It's about that big, and he puts
I have video. I'll
They.
put this up.
I think they're
Non-binary?
non-binary, because I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Actually, are
Turtles have genders, assigned genders.
I don't know
that they typically
that
play
well.
out.
Well, mine's non-binary. So they put their head up and they're looking around like a periscope.
Uh-huh.
And then you brought the cat out and it hid under the
Well,
ground cover.
It's a continuation from yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
Yesterday, I am going to the cat's at the door, looking out of the window. It's a glass door, and I approach the cat, who seems skittish, and beyond the cat, I see this turtle right outside the door. It was like Nature Channel, and beyond that turtle was a bird. It was a good
See,
it was
it's
a good day.
enchanting. You don't want to leave.
And I got some video, and I was able to grab the cat and bring him outside to meet his turtle friend. It was semi-successful, but since then he's been just sitting by the door waiting for me. His sleep was weird. He woke up early to go back, and then this morning, sure enough, the turtle was there again. I can't help but mention I wrote a song about lizards before we lived in the desert. It's called Little Little Lizard Tongue. I could play that for you. I also have I don't have a turtle song yet, but I do have.
You will.
I think I will have a turtle song. I do have have you heard of This Is How We Teach the Cat Fractions?
Yes, it's brilliant.
I feel like that
it's
one-
not only brilliant, it makes total sense.
It's like an ode to my friends who have been Zoom teaching with their kids for a year and a quarter.
Do you
or
really
more.
think that's difficult? I mean, teachers didn't get paid that much, and people made fun of them for having summers off. I don't know what the problem is.
And so it's about the absurdity of teaching cats fractions. But I don't know. Do you want little little lizard tongue, or This Is How We Teach the Cat Fractions?
Well, little lizard tongue is closer to
All
what
right.
the subject is.
Let me see that tongue, little lizard tongue. Yum yum, come get some, little lizard tongue. Little lizard tongue. Let me see that tongue, little lizard tongue, little lizard tongue, little lizard tongue.
And also, I want to make the point that this turtle has adopted us. We did nothing to invite or encourage it, and it's showing up. And this is easier than adopting a pet because we don't have to do anything.
Oh,
It
man.
feeds and waters itself.
Waters
and if
itself.
I have to go in the car and like go home or go out or someday fly someplace different, I don't have to worry about who's going to watch the turtle. The turtle's independent.
You're experiencing like wildlife animals, like farm life almost, right? Like desert farm life, where it's not your responsibility. They're
I
just
get
here.
to enjoy
Yeah.
it, and the hummingbirds and the
Aw.
birds and
Oh,
the ducks in the
hawks.
pool. And by the way, the hawk the other day landed on that tree over there,
Mm-hmm.
and it must be hefty. It's heavy, and I saw the boughs like shake, and there were little birds in the tree. They skedaddled
Aw,
and
that's
ran away
cool.
so fast, and the hawk had something in its mouth, and I watched it as it
Wayward son.
tore it apart
Oh.
and threw things on the ground, and then it left, and it was like, I'm in a nature show.
Yeah, it's a nature
It's
show.
amazing.
It's your nature show. I could keep chatting with you for all day, but I do have to go. I would like you
Some people
to.
have to work. It really interferes with my schedule.
I would like you to ask our audience the question that you told me about.
and you think they'll respond?
I would love for you to the audience to just at least receive your question, and if they
Can
care to send us a response, you can follow us at Everybody and Their Mother on Instagram. The links are in the show.
Can you hold this?
You can tweet at us. There's a whole bunch of ways, but I think it's a great. Or just think about the question for yourself. It's not about
I was careful. Can you hold that?
I mean, I
was-
know the question.
I
Can
was
I just
careful with my phrasing.
phrasing?
Exactly what were. Oh, here it is. I called it lifestyle. Thank you.
No, not that one.
Not that one?
No, the one about floors.
Oh, my interview question.
Yeah.
You don't want me to say that and surprise people?
Okay,
So when I
sure.
was in the master's degree program at Gratz, to get my master's of education in instruction, there's a game, a thing that we play.
The icebreaker,
Yeah, well, there was this
team building.
this teaching game thing, and two people sat in chairs across from each other, and one asked the other a question, and after the person answered, the questioner would leave and somebody else would come up until the whole class had a turn. So it's two people, no idea what the question is. You thought of the question in the spur of the moment. And I don't know if it really matters what the question is, but it's just to hear the response and people to get at ease and feel like they know each other. So it was my turn to ask the question, and I don't know where the question came from. And I said, "What did the kitchen floor look like when you were a child?" And I thought, who knows what they're going to say? And the woman sitting in front of me had tears running down her face. And she said it was linoleum. She described the color and what the squares looked like, and seeing her shoes and her feet on it. She said, and it was my grandmother's because my mother had died and I was living with my grandmother. And that's how I started in that class. And I don't know why I asked the question, but I learned from that you never know what connection you're going to make with someone, which is also why it's very important to choose your words, which I often mess up on. Sometimes I say something and I think that's not the way I meant that to sound. But so that's the question that you were
I think it's a great
wanted
question.
me to ask.
I think it's a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know. If you feel like answering it, answer it. If you want to subscribe. We'll be here next week. Will you be here next week?
Yes.
I'll be here next week.
We'll be here next week.
Not here.
Yeah.
We'll
wait
tell
a
you-
minute. We'll
tell you more about that
We might be
soon.
zooming.
We might be zooming. Well, to be continued. And I don't know. I love you.
I love you.
Don't forget to call your mother.
Doesn't it seem like everybody and their mother has a podcast? Oh, oh, so I started a podcast with my mom. We wanted a theme song so you could